Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who had never heard a single note of SZA's music until a couple days ago. You see, I started this channel in 2018 after her last album, and before then I wasn't paying attention to new music, not since I was in my early 20s. So, I'd heard the name, and I just sort of thought, what is that, some kind of like fake Wu-Tang thing, like RZA, GZA, SZA? I don't know. And so I'm very happy to really listen to this album and listen to it with fresh ears because I really enjoy it. I think it's quite good, and I think it represents something that I think is worth talking about. You see, I'm a rap fan. I've been a rap fan my whole life. I love hip hop, and I've always had a sort of negative attitude towards R&B music. Or at least I used to. I mean, back in the day, we're talking mid to late 90s, I used to listen to the local radio station in Boston, Jammin' 94.5, and it was today's hottest hip-hop and R&B. And over time, I would just lament how little hip-hop there was, how much it was R&B. And I got sort of mad and held it against it. But over time, thanks to Missy Elliott and Timbaland and Aaliyah, and eventually R. Kelly, rest in peace, eventually R. Kelly, I started to see that a lot of this music that I was really thinking of as being far away from hip-hop really could just be sort of part of hip-hop. Or at least the hip-hop R&B crossover isn't always just some rapper who's trying to go pop. It can be its own interesting thing. Which obviously became true when Lauryn Hill released her first solo album. And, these days we have Sudan Archives and Lil Sims. We have tons of great artists who are making this crossover. What I find interesting is something I've been thinking about ever since reading this really good book, God Save the Queens, by Kathy Iandol, where she quotes Rod Digga, part of the Flip Mode Squad, who says that female rap artists have basically two options. They can be a sex kitten or they can be a Nubian princess. And that's basically the breadth of expression that female artists are allowed to have in rap music. And I think that's perhaps why female R&B rap crossovers are so important, because it grants them more range of expression. I mean, I think that R&B making its way into rap in general has helped male artists also have more range of expression. But definitely, if a female artist does not come across saying, I'm the rapper, I'm a rap person, and she allows herself to be, I would even say, pigeonholed as an R&B artist, then she doesn't have to choose between those two things. What I think is interesting is how basically even artists like Missy Elliott, she's just a rap artist, but very often she is just put aside as an R&B singer. And even Lauryn Hill, yeah. It seems that with the exception of maybe Nicki Minaj, there's a sort of sense that you can never really be a rap artist who's also an R&B artist. You have to just be an R&B artist who also sometimes raps. And what I think is great about the SZA album, and what I assume is great about her as an artist, is that she doesn't do that. It really feels just like a full balance of the two. Now, my natural prejudice against R&B was going to say, well, this is mostly an R&B album with some rap elements, but I actually don't think that's true. I think if you listen to it, you really hear a great balance of those two things, and a resistance to fit into either of those two categories. She is neither a Nubian princess, lift us all up, fight the patriarchy, nor is she, I'm a sexy and look at my P word and my P word is the best of the whole world. It's sort of an interesting mixture of both. It's sort of both and neither at the same time. I'll talk more about that. So, we have this R&B and we have this hip hop, and we have a third ingredient which is very heavy in this mix, and that is pop. Oh man, that's a bummer. Might F this whole thing up. That's what I thought of when I first noticed how poppy it was. And I will say that it was frustrating at times listening to this album where I'm like, come on, does it have to be so pop? But it wasn't that often. And the thing I'll say is that she doesn't appear to be chasing. It doesn't feel to me like she's chasing pop. It feels like she has natural pop instincts, which she is engaging with. So when we actually get to this album, this delightful balance of hip-hop and R&B. Everyone who's talked about this in my comments when I said I was going to review this just say, oh, Control is better, Control is better, Control is better. Feel free to tell me in the comments, why is Control better? I'm going to suspect that it might not be, because this album's really good. It might just be different. I don't know. I'm interested by the cover, which features SZA on a really long diving board over the ocean. Now, when I first saw this, I immediately thought of the Baby Keem album cover, where he's on like this dock in the middle of water. I suppose they're on the same label, right? Because she's on Top Dog Entertainment. And you know, like this image, which I later discovered was inspired by Princess Di, where she was also like in a similar image. It has this great vulnerability and strength to it. I mean, really, it's one of the great album covers of the year because it shows that she's out there in a St. Louis Blues jersey. I don't know, it's weird. In a St. Louis Blues jersey, and she's sitting on, and you can tell that like she's sort of lost, but then she's also defiant. You know, like the image itself represents vulnerability and strength, which, spoiler alert, the entire album is dripping with vulnerability and strength in equal measure. That's that emotional range I'm talking about, that rappers are rarely allowed to have, but R&B singers are. And then we get to the back cover, which is, I suppose, an image of her mud wrestling, and you see like her thong with her low-cut pants. We're going to talk a lot about this too. You know, like I said, she is neither like this super empowering Nubian princess, nor is she a sex kitten, but she's kind of an inspiring Nubian princess, and she's kind of a sex kitten. It's amazing how well she uses some of the tropes of both of those apparent opposites and never quite gives in to them entirely. What I would say is this creation of strength, vulnerability, and sexuality. I'm not going to say sexiness, because I don't think her thing is sexiness, but I do think she is a very good chronicler of female sexuality, which is the whole game, okay? Like the difference between sexist and sexy, you know, to talk about Spinal Tap, like it's really this question of if a woman's sexual desire and autonomy is at the center of the story as opposed to her desirability for men. So that's why I would say this album is not sexy, but sexual. But the primary theme is bad relationships. But what was great is that she goes further than that. It's about the sort of loneliness of being a single woman with poise and self-respect. It doesn't matter how famous you are. It doesn't matter how pretty you are. It doesn't matter how much power you have. If you are a woman with poise and self-respect, from what I am told, it is not easy to find a good partner. Just the way it is. That's the result of patriarchy, a result of a whole bunch of things. If you haven't watched the She-Hulk TV show on Disney+, it's the best of the Disney TV shows. It goes into that quite a bit. Super underrated show. So we have this one theme of these bad relationships, but really the difficulty of being a woman with poise and self-respect. And then we get to the secondary theme, which undercuts that self-respect, where she doubts herself. And she's full of insecurities that are primarily filtered through the question of her own beauty and the plastic surgery, which she has apparently gotten. I don't even know what she looks like. Okay, I haven't watched the video. I've just, the pictures I've seen are on the front and back. So I don't know if she's gotten plastic surgery or not. I don't know, but I can tell from the album that she has. And what I like is that she really connects these two themes. This idea of being a single woman with poise and self-respect, and then the self-sabotage that goes into this kind of doubt about your own beauty. And over the whole thing is the specter of patriarchy, which is what imposes all of these beauty standards, what allows, frankly, reprehensible behavior by men towards women of poise and self-respect. So those things are the problem, right? Those are the issues that are being discussed in the album, right? Those are the sicknesses. What I like about this album is it also presents a couple of remedies with this overarching theme of a quest for peace. I don't mean like, was that Superman 3, 4, the quest for peace? Like inner peace. You know, like there's a guru who's always on this album. It reminds me a little bit of the Kendrick, Eckhart Tolle. You know, Kendrick and Eckhart Tolle on his last album. That was tap dancing, by the way. That was me. That was my impression of Kodak Black. Eckhart Tolle. Good impersonation? Smash the like bucket if it is. Like a similar idea, I think, of having outside people coming to try to help give some kind of psychological support. If I had one complaint about this album, it's my complaint not as a fan, because I do like this album. I consider myself a SZA fan. It's just, as somebody who has a hobby, okay? And listen, I've had a rough weekend, all right? I've had to do just... I got a newborn. She's a little bit off schedule. I have to staff a tree stand for the Boy Scouts with my son. It took like 3 hours today in like the freezing rain and cold. And then I got 25 tracks of SZA. So this is my new rule. Hey, all artists, you go over 20 tracks, I reserve the right to skip up to 5 of them. Okay? That's just and it's not your fault. SZA, I've listened to the entire album. It's all good. The songs that I skip, it's not even that they're terrible songs. I'm like, skip, mid. It's just, it's too much. You're going to see. I'm going to go into so much detail. You see how long this video is. I don't see how long this video is. I don't have scripts. I don't edit. So it's a surprise to me. I always love it when you tell me in the description, how long is this video? I'll read the comments and I'll find out. It's just a little too long. A little bit of that streaming bloat. So let's get into it. I love it when the first track is representative of the entire thing. I love it when the title track is representative of the entire thing. So imagine my surprise and glee at the fact that the opening track is the self-titled track of the album, SOS. It starts off with some seagulls, which places you right there on the album cover with her, right? Like you picture yourself as being on that diving board over a raging sea. And if you're watching it like on Tidal or listening to on Tidal, the ocean even moves underneath while you're watching. Very cool effect. Very effective at making you feel that sense of strength and vulnerability, right? And then there's the Morse code of SOS. Beep, 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 beep. All right, very important to know if you don't know it. Short, 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 long, 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 short, short, short. And then like maybe even the sound of a flare, like a flare gun going. Like that's how lost you are in the ocean. And then a really muted, pitched up gospel sample. Again, I understand that Ye, the human being, is no longer with us. But Ye, the artist, continues to define what music is going to do. He makes Donda, he makes Christ is King, Jesus is King, and the rest of the world is still catching up and still doing his stuff. They're still pitching up their samples. But anyways, let's get into her, because immediately, this is the first song I ever heard by her, and immediately I fell in love. I mean, not fell in love like, writing her letters, but like fell in love with her style. Because like finally, like the singing and the rapping at the same time is done really well. It's not relying on auto-tune, which is okay. I understand why artists do it, but it's something else to have somebody who, when she starts off, like she reminded me even of Baby Keem, that kind of like semi-whiny, charismatic flow, and then like just breaking into straight up Lauryn Hill vocal runs. Like how can you do that so well? How can she do that all the way throughout this album? This is a rap album by somebody who can sing like an R&B artist, when it's not an R&B artist by someone who can rap like a rapper, right? And these lyrics remind you of Della Reese, so classic, that ass so fat, it looked natural, it's not. So already on the first song, we had this whole concept of whether or not her body is her real body. I've never seen her ass. Not before, not after, not during. I don't know. I have no idea. I believe her what she's saying. Della Reese is a singer who I only know through Notorious B.I.G. I only know that Della Reese is a singer who was obese, because that is how he's going to make your mouthpiece. One of my favorite lines of all time, thinking about it now, it's kind of body shaming. Not cool, Biggie. I talk bullshit a lot, no more F shit, I'm done, damn right, I'm the one, damn right, I'm the one. Like the way that she does this whole verse, she has this whole thing like Tom Brady and KD, and she's going fast, but when she stops and says, damn right, I'm the one, damn right, I'm the one, like you feel like you are on that jumping, on that board, on that diving board, standing up, singing, damn right, I'm the one, with the ocean and the waves going all around, like Jason Momoa in Justice League. Damn right, I'm the one, I love it. I love it. And she talks a little bit about her sexuality in this verse as well. I'm horny like suck these, so daring like touch me. You know, like she's just really in touch with her sexuality and talking about it, and then ending it with, I just want what's mine. She sings it with just such a pained, awesome sound. It's amazing, and it sets up this entire album. My one complaint about the album is that it starts off so strong, like the first maybe 5 songs are just so strong. And then it doesn't keep that pace. It doesn't abandon that pace. We see sometimes it goes back to that level of awesomeness, but not quite the whole time. I asked you to smash the like bucket. Do it again. And then do it again. I'm getting better at this YouTube stuff. And then leads the song Kill Bill. A mediocre Quentin Tarantino movie, a very good SZA song. Very nice beat, very compressed drums and bass and distorted flute sounds. This reminds me a little bit of like Mark Ronson's production for Amy Winehouse, like kind of retro, but lots of like real instruments and real musicality. Like this is the kind of song that just give her the Grammy now, because it's the kind of song that Grammys love. But then we get kind of a funny Billie Eilish style chorus, which is like kind of like macabre and poppy at the same time. I might kill my ex, not the best idea. His new girlfriend next, how would I get here? I might kill my ex, I still love him though. I'd rather be in jail than all alone. It has that sort of dark humor, which has infiltrated pop music. And Billie Eilish isn't the only one. You know, Melanie Martinez does that. Olivia Rodrigo does that. There's a lot of this sort of dark humor. But what's just great is how wonderful the musicianship is underneath. And then like the second verse, like the rhythm changes a little bit, gets kind of syncopated. And then this great bridge. I did it all on no drugs. I did it all sober. As a guy who doesn't do drugs, and as a guy who drinks like maybe 1 beer every 2 months, I just got to appreciate somebody finally saying, you know, being cool and sober. Dare to keep your fans off drugs. Next song is Seek and Destroy. Nice low bopping bass, really good drum programming, has this kind of attacking sound where it's ahead of the beat. So like, you know, trap music is sort of famous, like sort of behind the beat, but this is really on top of the beat. Kind of a I don't know. It's interesting because it brings up this theme, I've ruined everything, I'm so free. There's a lot of this question of freedom. What makes you free? What is the value of freedom? And it seems that the correlation between freedom and loneliness is both positive and negative in this album. Next up is a total highlight of the album. I'm telling you, these first like 5 tracks are just like bam, 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 bam. SZA! The song Low. So it has this like, this is, okay, I'm going to say something so obnoxious. This is artisanal trap. Okay. You just unsubscribed. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Those words came out of my mouth. Look at me. I'm a dude so suburban. I'm so suburban that I sell Christmas trees at the mall with my Boy Scout son. And I'm talking to you about artisanal trap. Just thumbs down this video, would you? Unsubscribe. Call me a culture vulture. Do all the stuff people do to me. But before you do, let me explain what I mean. It's like, I don't look down on trap. I don't think trap is bad. Watch my review of the Metro Boomin album. I'm really coming around to it. But it is true that there's a lack of sort of virtuosity in it, right? There's a simplicity. I was reading the Atlanta Rap Capital book, and one of the primary architects of the trap sound, of producing the trap, this producer, Dr. K, Coach K, like literally said, he literally called it crack baby production. Like the whole idea was to make it very simple. So when you have music like this that uses a lot of the trappings of trap, unintentional, a lot of trappings of trap with the hi-hats and the beats, but then she sings it all. And the things that would usually have auto-tuning or be kind of a similar sounding verse has her vocal virtuosity. And the way that the rest of the beat is produced is a little bit finer than the rest. So it has the cool feeling of trap while also having a certain amount of attention to detail and musicianship that is often lacking in trap, which is why I said artisanal trap. Tell me in the comments how regrettable of a term is that. I do sort of wish that this verse weren't all about like all these other female rappers are bad. I just want them all to get along and just overthrow the patriarchy. But that's just me. I should just say keep it on the low ski, which is so dumb. But I'm just gonna start saying that. So like it's gonna be Christmas soon. Like hey, I got my daughter a She-Hulk comic book for Christmas. Keep it on the low ski. If you read the credits, it says accordion. And I swear to God, you can hear a half second of accordion. That's the level of artisanship. Artisticness. That's how you can tell. Next song is Love Language. This is where the album takes that turn, because it's not going to be all R&B and rap at the same time. Eventually, it's going to go a little bit more towards one direction. Here we are. This is the revenge of R&B. Guitar, synth sounds, slow trap-like beats, stop and start, help me understand your love language, we ain't making love, we effing. And out of nowhere, Ty Dolla $ign comes in. Ty Dolla $ign, one of the great R&B voices who can come in and make hip-hop a little bit more R&B. Next song is called Blind. Kind of ocean sound, acoustic guitar. Some strings come in on the first verse, and then I swear you hear her using autotune, which is weird because I don't hear autotune the rest of the album. My past can't escape me, my pussy precedes me, my, how times have changed, I'm still playing the victim. Interesting, this idea again, this whole album so far has really been a lot about this sense of loss and the kinds of guys that she's with, or it seems there might be like one particular ex that she's missing. But what I love about this is just things get really weird in this song. Like when she says blind, there's like a twisted choir of herself that almost ventures into hyperpop before coming back. Then we get to the song Used. Now, there's a helicopter flying overhead. Chopper City in the ghetto. I'm just going to let that fly over. See what kind of helicopter it is. My brother used to fly helicopters so I can identify them. I can't see it. Used is the song featuring Don Toliver. And here's an example of a time where I'm going to say something that's just going to make me super happy. But just wait for it. Hard drum machine, bass is a little bit distorted. The melody bends around the words. It's a little bit too strained. I love the lyric, I'm used to being used like this. That's another one of these themes about being in these bad relationships. And then Don Toliver jumps in. And this is where I realized Don Toliver's popularity. He's a SZA. He's the other guy. He's the other person that can mix R&B and rap so perfectly together. It's him. He can do that. Like, tell me that doesn't work. Tell me Don Toliver is not SZA. Okay? He totally is. And he's great. He's just this, just like SZA. He has like the sincerity and soul and strength to his voice, but he's totally at home in the world of rap. It's great. Kind of an unobtrusive but triumphant bridge. Lots of nice layers throughout this song. Then we get to the song Snooze. Skip. It's a fine song. I'm not going to talk about it. Then we get to Notice Me. Oh, and whenever I skip a song, feel free to write a long paragraph about what an idiot I am. Whenever I skip a song, people always do that. Ode to the Mets is the best song the Strokes ever wrote. I don't care. I'm not going to talk about it. So Snooze, I'm just going to hit the snooze bar on that. That's going to move on to Notice Me, the great, almost like reggae synths, a weird pitched up voice. And this is the thing about her melody writing. Like, there's this gorgeous movement to her melody here. She hits these high notes and these low notes, and she hits these like notes that are like sniper hits, like super high, super low. And then we have this genius chorus. The lyrics. I don't need to be your girl. I'm cool just being your person. It's a cry for humanity. She just wants to be a human being. She doesn't want to be your girl. She just wants to be your person. This is awesome. Okay? We need more of this. Already tried to be your girl. I'm going to get the dick I deserve. Try to flip on me. I hit you where it hurts. Try to wife you, but I'd rather be a hoe. So, like all this complexity. Like if she can't be with this person, if the person isn't going to treat her like a human being, like an equal, like a person, then she would rather just be a hoe. She'd rather just be a sex object. Like she is coming to terms with her disappointment, the deception of being an adult woman, I suppose, and how just miserable most men are. And so, if I'm not going to get what I want, I'm not going to get what I need, I'll just get the D and dip. Talking like a young person, and I regret it. Then we get to Gone Girl. Oh, intertextuality, here we come. Nice high distant voice, smoky electronic piano. I think she makes reference to a third trimester in a previous song. She says, talking about a baby, I'm talking about Plan B. Subtle commentary about women's autonomy over their own bodies, which the United States government does not respect. Not good. I need more space and security. I need your touch, not your scrutiny. Very lush, great bass work. And the thing is, I was going to skip this song. But then I saw the title. And I love the movie Gone Girl, directed by David Fincher. And I love the book Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn, don't know how you pronounce it. And I realized this is the key to understanding the entire album. So I talk all the time about intertextuality. Julia Kristeva, the Bulgarian-French thinker, identified this term whenever one text refers to another text. One piece of art refers to another. And what ends up happening is you have a different interpretation of both. So when she mentions Gone Girl here, and she's just talking about leaving, but I think that she wants us to think about Gone Girl. Because if you actually think about the themes of Gone Girl and the themes of this album, they're very connected. I think we could see SZA as being an Amy Dunn-like character. Amy Dunn is the primary protagonist, antagonist of Gone Girl. If you haven't seen it, haven't read it, you really should. She's like the Tyler Durden for women. She's this great anti-hero that expresses a lot of this disappointment in men, this disappointment in society, and she takes out her revenge, and she uses patriarchy against itself. Oh my God, she's like this great hero villain. She really is Tyler Durden, But she has this monologue, this very famous monologue, about the cool girl. And I feel like this whole album is like SZA realizing that she's been this cool girl who's all down for this and down for that, but what she really wants is real human connection. And what she's really getting is nothing. So here, I'm going to read, in its entirety, the Cool Girl monologue by Gillian Flynn from the book Gone Girl. See, if you are a SZA fan, this does not resonate with you with the general stance that SZA takes throughout this album. Men always say that as the defining compliment, don't they? She's a cool girl. Being the cool girl means I'm hot, brilliant, funny woman who adores football, poker, dirty jokes, and burping, who plays video games, drinks cheap beer, loves threesomes and anal sex, and jams hot dogs and hamburgers into her mouth like she's hosting the world's biggest culinary gangbang while somehow maintaining a size 2. Because cool girls are, above all, hot. Hot and understanding. Cool girls never get angry. They only smile in a chagrined, loving manner and let their men do whatever they want. Go ahead, shit on me, I don't mind, I'm the cool girl. Men actually think that this girl exists. Maybe they're fooled because so many women are willing to pretend to be this girl. For a long time, cool girl offended me. I used to see men, friends, coworkers, strangers, giddy over those awful pretender women. I'd want to sit these men down and calmly say, you are not dating a woman. You are dating a woman who has watched too many movies written by socially awkward men who would like to believe that this kind of woman exists and might kiss them. I'd want to grab the poor guy by his lapels or his messenger bag and say, the bitch doesn't really love chili dogs that much. No one loves chili dogs that much. And the cool girls are even more pathetic. They're not even pretending to be the woman they want to be. They're pretending to be the woman a man wants them to be. Oh, and if you're not a cool girl, I beg you not to believe that your man doesn't want the cool girl. It may be a slightly different version. Maybe he's a vegetarian, so cool girl loves seitan and is great with dogs. Or maybe he's a hipster artist, so cool girl is tattooed, bespectacled nerd who loves comics. There are variations to the window dressing, but believe me, he wants a cool girl who's basically the girl who likes every fucking thing he likes and doesn't ever complain. How do you know you're not the cool girl? Because he says things like, I like strong women. If he says that to you, he will at some point fuck someone else. Because I like strong women is code for I hate strong women. Don't you see it? Don't you see the world that is presented to women? And I'm saying this as a cis, het, white man who is responsible, indirectly or directly, for all the conditions that are being described here. I used to be on the other side of this cool girl thing completely. I'm a total villain in this story. I'm just describing my villainness, okay? But this whole description of what is expected of women, how they're expected to be, I feel this conflict and this anger in SZA the same way I felt it in Amy Dunn, the character by Gillian Flynn. What do you think, huh? How was my dramatic reading? Fun. Smoking on My X-Pac is the next song. Here it's just like, all right, you were good. You had some R&B. Now let's get to the rap. Cool pitched voice, sample. This great guitar slides in the right ear. And goes, and there's like a little sound, like, and some booming bass. And she makes a Sideshow Bob reference, which is very cool. She sings a little bit at the end. Them hoe accusations weak, them bitch accusations true. So, again, she's like reclaiming one and rejecting the other. This is barely a song, it doesn't even really start or stop, kind of like the first track for that matter. It doesn't like have a chorus or any real structure, but it's great. It's great to have this little interjection of just straight hip hop. Ghost in the Machine featuring Phoebe Bridgers has this odd auto-tune sound to start, and then these pluck strings and some epic, it's just a wonderful spoken verse. And here she is, tying back again to what I was saying before, when she wanted to be someone's person, not someone's girl. I need humanity. I'm craving humanity. I'm drowning in vanity. She's drowning in other people's vanity, but she's also drowning in her own with this apparently upsetting, not upsetting plastic surgery that she's had. The vanity that she has, but also other people's vanity. Vanity is the opposite of humanity is quite interesting. But that's what she wants. She wants to be a human being. I hate to say it, but in our society, perhaps we could say in late capitalism, but I'm not going to go that far. Just in general in our society, humanity is not prized. In general, it's not. In general, we're supposed to be seen as consumers. We're supposed to be part of a demographic. We're supposed to be cis, het, white, male, gay, black, Latino, whatever it is. But our just general humanity is often denied, usually for some kind of monetary gain. But this is a plea for humanity, which I think is what we need. It doesn't matter who is saying it. I think every single musician that has ever existed could come on and have a song that says, I need humanity, I'm drowning in vanity, and the world would be a better place. Kind of a cool, goofy second verse with robots, talking about robots. And then Phoebe Bridgers comes in, and she's perfect. She interplays perfectly with SZA. A slight change to the beat, like more of a piano sound. Some of my friends are on the payroll. You're not wrong. You're an asshole. Beautiful quote from Big Lebowski. My son and I say this all the time to each other. You're not wrong, Walter. You're an asshole. Which is like a very important thing to say because often people are right and they don't know that doesn't mean they're not a good person. Like, it's great. The chorus comes back with SZA, almost like a drill bass underneath, and then this guru comes out at the end. A perfect plea for humanity, which even going back to the Gone Girl thing, even then, I would say the Gone Girl passage works there as well, because that's really what the author wants. Like, I'm not just some male fantasy. Like, I want to be a human being. F2F is the next song. Okay. This song reminds me a lot of that song 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. Diddle-a-diddle-a-doo, and I want you, diddle-a-diddle-a-doo, I would walk 1,000 miles. You know that song? I only know it from the movie White Girls, which, very underrated movie, by the way. Problematic, sure, but very underrated. So it has that kind of like feel, like it has a very pumpkin spice latte vibe to it, which I understand, and please criticize me in the comments for saying something that is dog whistly sexist. But what I mean is that I feel like this is pop music made for women when women are together. This doesn't feel like this is for me. This feels like this scratches an itch that I don't understand and I don't have. This kind of upbeat, clean, happy pop that then gets kind of rocking, almost like an Olivia Rodrigo or Weezer way. Weezer super responsible for a lot of what's happening in pop right now. I just recently realized. And, a lot of relatable themes, I F him because I really miss you, hate me enough for the two of us. It's kind of like almost goth, emo themes. I do like how she says, now I'm ovulating and I need rough sex. Again, I don't ovulate, but from what I understand, that's a pretty accurate thing that happens, increased sex drive during ovulation. And I think that's a great thing to just talk about, just like that this is what I need. But it's funny because in this chorus she says, I wish I didn't want to sell my soul. And I wonder if that's not part of the poppiness of this song. Because it's like she's selling her soul for this man, who she's having sex with because she's horny, but he's not good for her. She doesn't see him he doesn't see her as a human being, etc. But also maybe selling the soul for a pop song. I need 1,000 miles. Next song is Nobody Gets Me, with Benny Blanco co-producing on here. Kind of a boring acoustic guitar. I was going to skip this one too, but I kind of like it because it's sort of like a modern country song in a way, the way it sounds, but it's like raunchy and pornographic. Like, hurry now, baby, stick it in before the memories get to kicking in. It even reminds me at times of sort of a Taylor Swift, modern Taylor Swift song. And the way she sings reminds me a lot of Natalie Imbruglia from the 90s. If you know that song she's famous for, the cover, Torn, listen to that back to this, that's how it sounds. And then we get to Conceited, which is good. Another cool kind of snap, clap, 808 sound. I don't like Nobody, and I don't feel guilty about it. I got my body done. I ain't got no guilt about it. I just heard your opinion. I could have done without it. I could have did without it. All these bitches as minions, despicable, like, oh. A couple things. One, she's saying she doesn't like anybody, which is interesting because that makes her a misanthropist. So a misanthropist is someone who hates everybody. Philanthropist, phil means love, anthropist means people, anthro. So that's the difference between those two words. It's ironic because most philanthropists are billionaires, and most billionaires hate humans. They just give away a lot of money. It's not the same thing as loving people. Doesn't matter. So it's interesting because she's making this claim for humanity all throughout the album, but it feels like she's so hurt and so deceived by her inability to achieve that humanity, be bestowed that humanity, that it then makes her reject humanity. So she is like many misanthropes, people who hate all people, lonely and in pain and spurned by humanity. Therefore, she's rejecting it. That's what's going on here. That's the philosophical underpinnings to this wonderful album. Control was better. Maybe it was. I've never heard Control. But this is good. I just got my buddy done. Ain't got no guilt about it. So this is the paradox. And this is why I don't even want to look at the pictures. The whole thing is the patriarchy paradox. Because her getting the surgery is a sign that patriarchy won, that she feels she needs to look a certain way in order to be desired or be successful. But then me commenting on that in any way, positively, she looks good. Negatively, women shouldn't do that, is reinforcing the patriarchy because it's just another dude telling a woman how she should or should not look. So the proper response from a man to a woman who gets elective surgery is none. No response. Zero. Just... no. You can maybe say, are you happy? And the answer is yes. Good. Back away. That's it. That's the only answer. That's the only answer that does not in some way reinforce patriarchy. But that's where we're stuck. And when she says, I got no guilt about it, I don't believe it. I think she does feel guilt about it. And one would hope that she let herself off the hook. I can't imagine what it would be like being famous in the public eye, being a woman in the public eye, being a black woman in the public eye. We should never, I hate celebrity culture. We just need to just let people be. Like, unless they're like hitting kids, like, or going on weird rants on Alex Jones, we should even then, I don't know, just, it's hard. Life is hard. he did. Anyways, moving on to Special, almost a Christmas pop bell song, kind of a crunchy guitar. I was going to skip this one too, but it goes a little bit more into this body dysmorphic issue, or the sort of hatred of her body. I wish I was that girl from the Gucci store. She never wears any makeup and she owns couture. I got pimples where my beauty marks should be. I got dry skin on my elbows and knees. I never liked her, but I wanted to be her. She sort of blames her partner for the surgery, which she now appears to regret, that she said she didn't regret in the last song. Again, the thing to do with this is not, and I imagine online it's just a whole bunch of dudes being like, look, here's proof. That's not what to do. Just look at the struggle. Look at the pain that she's in. Look at the pain that she felt having to do this, doing it, having done it, hearing the responses to it. At every single corner of this whole process, she was getting criticized by men or by women speaking on behalf of patriarchal forces against her. She is completely trapped, no matter what she did, unless she was blessed with some kind of ability to tune that noise out. Okay? And we're not doing well as a species. The percentage of people who can tune that stuff out is like 0.000001, and I sure as hell am not a part of that. Okay? So, like, it's interesting. I think she's trying to own it, but she can't. And that's more valuable for people than being like, I'm a princess, I'm strong, I own it. Being like, I own it, but I don't. But I do, but I don't. I wanted to be thick, now I want to be thin. Talks all about, I wish I were special, I'm just a loser. Tom York called, he wants his creep back. There's a cool like underwater bridge, but it turns out like I was hoping that the chorus was going to come back like a pop thing, but it doesn't. So a little bit of restraint there. Then the song Too Late, skip. I asked my daughter, what do you think of SZA? She said, I like SZA, but some of her songs are too similar. Next song is Far. How do you deal with rejection? She asked the guru. No one wants you, you're free, says the guru. I don't know, guru, that was an easy answer. But a really gorgeous message here, because she's sort of talking like basically how she distracts herself with dick. You know, that's how she distracts herself, and she talks about it. Done being used, done playing stupid, done faking cool. Did you say cool? Did you say you're not going to be the cool girl anymore? See that right there? That's a callback to the thing I did previously. But it's also reinforcing my point, which is I think Gone Girl is a very important message, because here also, she was gone and now she's far. Next song is called Shirt. Skip. Then we get to Open Arms. Now, Travis Scott was on a previous song, just in the back, going, ah! You know how he has like that one thing where he's like, ah! What I like about this, I read somewhere, I think it was on Genius, SZA talks about Travis Scott. And I think SZA should be a music reviewer. Listen to how dead on she is when she describes what makes Travis Scott great. I'm definitely a huge fan of Travis. I think he merges that super fine line between melody and syncopation and pocket. I love his pockets and I love his note choice. He's just gnarly. He's perfect. This tells me two things. One, she really pays attention to music, and she has she's more than just a performer. She's an intellect of music. You know, some of the greatest performers in the world don't have a clue about what makes them great. Others study it very carefully. It doesn't matter what the genre is, whatever it is, so she's very clearly paying attention to it. But also, it's clear that that's what matters to her and her music. Like, when you think about that, melody and syncopation and pocket, that really is all what falls in SZA. So it seems as though SZA is on a similar way, except obviously she can sing better than Travis Scott. So kind of a soaring voice, again, more muted drums underneath, kind of more real instruments here. And Travis's verse is sweet and auto-tuned. It's okay. African drums as an outro, I'm not sure. Next up is I Hate You. I Skip You. It's just too long of an album. It's very good. Very too long. Good Days has these double guitars with echo. Beautiful space behind the verses. Very calm drums. Half of us are chasing the fountain of youth and it's in the present. You're going to get a coffee break for that. SZA, the fountain of youth is in the present. There it is. What a great line, right? That's great. That's a great lyric. I talk about it all the time on this channel. The best lyrics are not the most complicated lyrics. They're lyrics that tell the most truth, like the simplest, you know? And just the fountain of youth is just being present. It's right here. And then that leads into the final track, Forgiveless, which makes 2001 Sky so happy you can't believe it. Okay? It features Old Dirty Bastard. Now, the lyrics I recognized from the song The Stomp off of his first solo album, but it's not the actual studio take. It's a freestyle, which they sampled, and they got the rights to do it, but the person who owns the copyright to it is listed as the producer of the song, so I guess he's getting a payday. But then if you look at the credits, look who else is getting a credit. Björk Gunderstroper, whatever her last name is. It also samples Björk from the album Vespertine. So it's like an Old Dirty Bastard and Björk mashup, which the Sky, before I gave up on new music in 2003 or whatever, this would have just been my favorite. Old Dirty Bastard and Björk in the same song. And it's great. And then she goes super hard on her verse. It's like Old Dirty Bastard is not dead, and she's trying to impress. It's like she's in the cypher with the RZA and the GZA. And here comes the SZA. Don't care about consequences. I want my lick back. Idles mind watching, get pushing your wig back. I don't mind burning bridges. My enemies, sinner, please. Get that bitch, my kid. Ain't no kin to me. Gotta watch how you was built when you were around me. Give a fuck what you prefer. Too profound to go back and forth. No average dork. Got your spells and sorcery. Hug your rosaries. Just great rap lyrics in the Wu-Tang style. Just rapid fire, offbeat references. It goes spells and sorcery. Hold your rosaries. To try to poison the fetus. You know, like, it's great. Just great rap lyrics. A great hard beat. And she's really in the pocket. So there's my review of SZA. She's out on that diving board over the ocean. Everything's there. She's strong. She's vulnerable. She tells you why she's weak. She's upset about why she's weak, but she owns it. She's fighting against these terrible men and the expectations of her in society, and she's making music that is simultaneously rap and R&B and pop all at the same time, and doing it really well, if maybe a little too lengthily. So, I want to thank my Patreons. In particular, where's my Patreon list? My Patreon list is over there, but I'm going to go get it. There we go. So, in particular, I want to thank At Large Auteur, because I give my Patreons a chance for a verbal shout out at the end of a video. And like no one ever takes it. I got like 87 Patreons. I got some new ones actually who aren't on here yet. I'm sorry, I meant to put them on, but I'm busy today. It's out in the cold. You'll get a special shout out next time. But you know, so that's the thing you can do. They give me money, I buy music with it. So thank you. All right. Well, tell me again in the comments why artisanal trap is so bad, and what you think of SZA. There's the camera.